All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this match of SADD 2021. This is actually a rebroadcast of a match that was streamed live a while back. This is for the purpose of displaying a recorded POV that we had that was a free cam instead of chase cam from Ajax's perspective previously. And also, we have the score overlay and everything, and we can add live commentary to the match from myself, and I'm joined with Xadrian. Say hello.
Hello. Oh, you meant a little more than that. Hey, everybody. It's a little weird being in the situation where I was the judge and now I'm reviewing myself, so I can take footnotes on my own actions. It's almost like self-assessment, but I think you're all here for the actual contestants themselves. So, without further ado,
And as stated, we have Ajax-Outwash, who are the second seeded team in the tournament. They had a pretty good showing so far before they getting knocked to losers brackets by the current favorites of William and Jamen. And Dover-Klungo got sent to losers bracket pretty early against Azure and Nick, but they've made a steady run through the entire losers bracket, just sweeping most teams before them, and have now met with Ajax-Outwash.
no spoilers, but we've got a fun match to show you.
So, without further ado, let me just kind of hop over into the match once I make sure everything's set up. We know that Ajax has sometimes some ping issues with that European connection. However, in the past, he's been able to find Outwash a stalwart teammate. And on the other end, we've had the much anticipated. I've talked to a lot of people saying that have I underseeded Dover-Klungo, and the fact that they've made it this far seems so, but with their first tournament showing, it's been great to watch that team so far. I think that despite the fact that they were already expected to play very well, I'd also say Dover-Klungo is one of the most improved teams over this entire tournament. Let's see. Is it showing the? Oh, I am not showing the in-game screen. 1 second. Let me know when ready.
Ready?
All right, 3, 2, 1, mark. And this is running much more smoothly, so definitely this was the solution to begin with. And I'm probably going to cut to this point in the YouTube recording, so basically we just had some tough technical difficulties getting this going, but now we're starting off with Klungo on Luke, Dover on Ayla, and then we have Outwash on Vader, and Ajax on the Maul. With Dover
And I
already
just want to point
finding a solid hit, and another one.
an interesting thing about that round was that Ajax had actually gotten a hit on Klungo and actually had knocked him down, but Ajax stayed on the building, and it looked like Outwash was planning to come around on Vader, but he got locked up by the Ayla. Klungo had enough time to recover, and then they both assassinated their respective targets.
Yeah, Dover's coverage coming in clutch there against threats from the Vader. And Ajax already swaps to Anakin. I know William
Yep.
commonly views Anakin as probably the best character in high ping. I think it's probably between, on villain side, Anakin and Maul. So already Ajax has a good idea here. And, you know, there's even an argument for Ajax going with the character he's most familiar with, which is the Vader. Although conventionally that would be ill-advised in high ping. It is the character Ajax is most familiar with by far.
There we go. We see separation on both teams, and Outwash finds Dover in that separation.
Leaving Klungo here to 1v2. And this is the area where, if Luke can play in a situation relative to other characters where he's arguably better, not better than an Ayla, but he's definitely better than an Obi here in 1v2 scenarios. Maybe not with an Annie on the field, and we see a little bit of why there. Anakin can very safely go for intercepts against the Luke. Outwash attempting to go for a combo null and a mid-air dash attack there, not quite connecting.
Keeping a high degree of mobility, but They're putting a decent amount of pressure on. He doesn't have quite as much space to run as he'd probably like.
And he does get a good hit and a kill onto Outwash, leaving Ajax alone here against Klungo, but the C3 is going to take him out with a delayed full combo.
I remember when I was watching that second point, I'm like, is he about to do this? Is the Mad Lad about to do this? And then the moment I was about to vocalize something, oh,
Yeah, one of my first encounters with Klungo was in the NF 2020 2v2 tournament. I had Quigs as my teammate, and we were in a situation where we would eliminate Klungo's teammate pretty often, and then we were just amazed by his 1v2 capability.
Dover baited out a dash from Outwash extremely well there. Outwash was going for it. If he maybe waited just a little bit longer, he would have connected in the air, but instead he fell down off the building after a miss, and Dover cleaned that up real fast. Ajax in a tougher 1v2 against the Ayla and the Luke.
And he does find a nice hit there, getting 500 damage onto the Ayla. Goes for perhaps a hopeful
A late
aerial
punish.
there, yeah. I mean, it was late, but he couldn't really have done much faster. Dover accidentally dashing into his
Dover
opponent.
assassinates Klungo with what can only be assumed to be a gross error. I believe he saw the character model and like,
Assumed it was
oh my god, it's him!
yeah.
Because Ajax wasn't even close.
Well, we'll see if Dover can redeem himself here, or if he will fall prey to his error.
And thus the 1v2 becomes a much more palatable 1v1.
You know, it's actually really kind of just relaxing doing the recap this way because I don't have to worry about the camera controls at all.
Something to consider for the future, perhaps.
Yeah.
But then we have to get a dedicated recording and then do it later, so
Mm-hmm.
slightly more time commitment to a degree.
Oh
Although it
yeah,
has to
total time
be
commitment.
less time commitment simultaneously, which could be an advantage.
Yeah, easier to schedule volunteers maybe.
A lot of building movement there, sort of just playing for the opportunity, not really being super direct in the confrontation here.
And this is often what we will see too from double CD characters is a lot of positional jockeying. Dover gets a really, honestly, that's a very nice attempt there up the building because it's relatively safe unless Ajax goes for a high risk aerial. And Dover is going to
Speaking of high
redeem
risk
himself.
moves, you know, he's like, if I'm willing to murder my own teammate, you think I'm not willing to murder you too?
Yeah, it's funny. At the onset of this, I talked about most improved team, or one of the most improved teams being Dover-Klungo this tournament. I don't know if that's exactly fair to them though, because both of these are old players who are in their own rights master of the craft of Battlefront. It's just kind of like returning to and adapting to the modern style of play here. That it's hard to call it improvement. Maybe it's more just adaptation.
It's like taking all that rust off, pulling out the shine, getting some polish on there. Outwash going for Dover, doesn't quite get a hit. Looks
It's
like Ajax might have tipped him a bit.
yeah, just like an ascending, just C1 there. Not really anything happening out of that though in this matchup. Close
Might
aerial
have been a
situation.
hit from Ajax on the Klungo there.
Outwash is able to anti-fall and escape that Luke dash and regroups with his teammate. They're playing a bit more reserved and together here than we sometimes have seen Ajax and Outwash in the past. Ajax, excellent play onto Dover there. Descending, I think, backslash to null the air movement. I couldn't.
I think it might have been a descending combo, but I didn't quite see.
Yeah, I saw something happen. It was a descending null, whether it was a combo or dash attack. Thank you, Xadrian.
We're already famous. We don't need to become famous.
Twitch bots have invaded the Sith Academy. It's a droid invasion. Oh, and kind of clumsy landing from Klungo there will get taken out by Outwash, bringing the score to 2-2, even game so far. Klungo definitely wanted to, I don't know if he had the stamina to, but land on the center square there. Or just otherwise have a lighter landing where he can immediately begin to move. Anytime you're locked down by a hard land, or even a soft land, is a time where you are very vulnerable, particularly with a Vader on the field right next to you.
And Dover finds an excellent hit on the exposed Ajax. I think my buffering might have been in the future.
Second?
I said I think my buffering might have been in the future.
Oh, just by a second. And Outwash is going to get a clean hit onto Dover's unsafe jump up there. That's why ramps are so critical in the game, is because it allows for safer movement. Not safe, but safer.
I was wondering if Outwash was going to be able to turn that tap into a follow-up, but didn't quite get the full knock he could have hoped for.
Yeah, without a full knock, it's incredibly difficult to get anything off of those lift buildings unless you're already on the edge, but standing on the edge is unsafe in its own right. So, for the most part, it's just kind of psychological or intimidation, and
Wango practically bullying him there. He's getting so close to getting away, and he's almost getting away, and he's almost getting away, and Klungo's just like, where are you going? Don't you want to hang out? Come on, hang out with me.
not only a great recognition.
Me and my saber.
Yeah, that was not only a great recognition from Klungo that Dover was essentially caught in his combo, but it was a great usage of Luke's kit. You know, you have the common Luke dash attack into BS, followed by, like, you know, although Outwash did anti-fall it and only one of those hits may have connected, Klungo with a quick thinking just aerials him to follow up.
Klungo tried to go for the aerial again against the Vader on the dome, but he was ready for it this time, and he got dashed down for his troubles, and Ajax was looking to get a quick dash on the Klungo.
Look at that. That was really cool to see that round right there, strategically, because Outwash really was trying on his Vader to isolate Dover out on the Ayla. And hold on that thought for a second. Ajax getting some clean hits. Klungo barely missing that backslash. Does get some damage in.
Now the fight becomes a little weird, and already damaged Klungo. He's going to be scared of that. Well, he's not going to have to be scared too much longer because his fears have been fulfilled.
Yep, Ajax does take him out with a good backslash on his descending movement. But what I was saying earlier was that that was a really cool round to see strategically in the beginning, because Outwash really wanted to isolate and pressure the Ayla, hoping to get a dash attack out of Dover so that Outwash on the Vader can counterpunch it. But we see Dover and Klungo together collapse on the Vader with the high pressure, and that's something Luke's able to do well along with the Ayla to support, is to pressure that Vader. So Outwash's own plan becomes a form of counterplay as they target him out, and we can even see now it looks like Outwash is a continued target for the hero team.
I feel like Ajax is getting just enough respect to, like, we're keeping an eye on you. Do something stupid, we'll act up. But the first thing they want is breathing heavily. And his name is Vader.
And he retaliates against the twin lightsaber Twi'lek. Would it be twin lightsabers if they're different colors? I guess not.
You can have non-identical twins.
Yeah, fraternal. Yep, that's true.
And Klungo is taking a fight in an area I would not think to want to fight against an Annie and a Vader.
But he's and he is
proving himself evasive. Even finding hits on the Annie, and if he'd maybe been able to dodge those combo hits, I could have seen him going for a backslash.
And I think for the first time, I don't actually remember the early rounds, but Ajax-Outwash take the lead here, 3-4.
They do, in fact, take the lead here. I believe it had been relatively equal before, or Dover and Klungo being one up.
Yeah, I forget if I think the first round went to Heroes because
It
Dover
did.
got the double Ayla kill.
It wasn't a double Layla kill. It was they both cleaned up their respective targets.
Got it. Outwash taking a more aggressive stance here. Nope, but he backs off.
Dover finds Ajax after a nice little CD dance.
You are like a second ahead of me. It's kind of funny, but
I have a solution to that. I'm gonna like pause. Play. All right, now I should be relatively on pace.
okay. And
Hey,
Outwash
Outwash, not enough room to run.
keeping the score even.
Which I made a note to chat that 4-4 is a score we have consistently reached in the first round of many of these matches. There's just something about 4-4. And maybe it's an early score. Maybe it's because that like the teams are still figuring each other out. But we have reached that score so consistently. I want to say that almost every single match that hasn't been super one-sided has reached 4-4 just about in phase one. Thanks to the matches with Jamen and William are some of the only ones that didn't.
Yeah, they're also kind of a unique team in this tournament that they'll come out of a match and it'll look like the match is even and it's going to be a hype match, and all of a sudden they just adapt and the other team gets swept. But focusing
Big
on
change here on the villain side. We have Ajax now on the Vader and Outwash on the Annie.
yep, and this is something where I think both of these players are more comfortable on these respective ones. I can't speak to Outwash and his feelings on Vader versus Annie, but I know that for sure that Ajax does prefer the Vader.
Ajax tried to get a dash off on the Ayla, couldn't find it. He's lifted up into the air enough. He tries to go for a lunge. Unfortunately, he's outranged on that too, and he eats
Ooh,
Dover's dash attack for his troubles.
but Outwash gets a clean aerial onto Klungo because Klungo. So actually, one of the things that happened there in that interaction too was a nice anti-fall. I think it was Dover, right, on the building that killed Ajax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dover is definitely one hit right now because he ate an aerial from Ajax. So one hit from Outwash's dash attack, that is, puts Annie in the advantage in this matchup.
Clever use of buildings. Gets Dover out of a potentially fatal follow-up from the Annie.
Now, worth noting, that's a
Quick,
very slight advantage because obviously both are one hit, but it allows Outwash to do something like that for the kill.
it looks like Dover might have even gotten sparks on that one, or maybe even potentially hit him, but not enough. 4-5, still in favor of Outwash and Ajax. At least for the time being.
Now, it's worth noting, on paper, Ajax-Outwash are the favored team here, but like I said earlier, there's a lot of talk and hype around both teams here and their ability to.
Kongo has a fantastic chase on Outwash. He read that movement and he was ready. He was all over him the moment he committed that direction.
Ooh, a good dash roll, but Klungo gets the chase again. These intercepts, um, almost letting the kill up there, but Dover and Klungo both able to kind of pincer on that and clean it up.
I think they might have been looking over Ajax and Outwash's shoulder there. They're like, all right, what's your game plan? I'm just going to make a couple notes. Don't mind me. Tie it up.
Yep. And that's one of the benefits of Luke there is just quick and solid intercepts and right onto the retreating movement from both of the enemy players. We still have Ajax on the Vader and Outwash on the Annie. Ajax not able to find much purchase on the Vader yet, possibly owing to his ping or maybe misexecution. I think I'd be more willing to bet on. Well, it's a combination of both. Misexecution with ping, but that's it's hard to execute with pain.
Outwash got some hits on Dover, but unfortunately he loses the mash war, even though he got the first initial hits. Dover comes out on top on that one.
Yeah, without very precise combo play with the Anakin, if you miss any of those hits or don't knock up the Ayla with a switch to a back combo, the Ayla can come out of that swinging and you're just stunned until you die.
Ajax now in a most unfavorable situation, having to deal with both an Ayla and a Luke, and they're aggressively going for attacks. They're going for running backslashes. They're going for aerials all over the place.
And I don't know.
He's getting some time to. Hmm?
I was gonna say I've spoken to other Vader mains in the past, about what they think like the worst 1v2 scenario would be against heroes, and in my opinion, this is it. Luke and Ayla, you know, you have the Ayla to cover counter punches with no mercy, and you have the Luke to just intercept.
Ajax might have had something there, but he gets caught by that one last attack, and that's all he needed to lock him in place.
We have the pendulum swinging back in favor of Dover-Klungo, but it is quite even. 6-5 right now.
And we have the swap. Ajax is back on Annie, and Outwash back on Vader.
I think this
Looks like
is
they
the
didn't
right
like
call.
how that went.
Yeah, I think this is the right call for them. You know, in the ideal world, Ajax does get the Vader, but it could be really hard to give up your main. Like I know when I'm playing bad on Vader and I have to drop it, it's just like this feeling of stubbornness. Like no, I want to do better.
That lack of, you're not living up to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But the willingness to do that and switch to a character that's maybe more consistent for the scenario is, it's the mark of a very good player in terms of mindset.
Unfortunately, Outwash not getting maybe perhaps the landing he wanted. Maybe Dover just read it. He was there to cover with the dash attack, and now we have again Ajax alone with a slightly more favorable matchup, but he's still having to contend with two of them.
Actually, it's funny. As much as I said that this is a situation that sucks for Vader, I would have rather have the Vader here than the Annie. The Annie is gonna have to win multiple interactions and high risk dash attack, and he's yeah, he tries to go for the null there, probably the right move, but to no avail.
Looks like damage he piled up from earlier was just too much because it goes down without too much of a fuss for that Luke. Outwash proudly proclaiming in the in-game chat, "We're not losing. It's go time. Words to live by."
I definitely appreciate Buck's confidence and like willingness to talk up his team. It's easy to get dejected and kind of like get down if you have a slight slip up, but oh, and a
Fantastic
great
hit.
null.
Picking out the Ayla is a huge first step. If they can get that, they're immediately in a much more favorable situation, and
Oh, and a
Outwash
nice aerial
immediately
hit.
follows up with the dash midair against the Luke.
I talk about confidence and hyping up your team, but he follows it up immediately. Just shows that it's not just words here from Outwash.
Outwash loves throwing out cheers in chat, and I think he was probably if they were in voice chat, I am confident that I
That
would have
was a
heard him
hype
saying
moment.
cheers.
Yeah, for sure. That was a one of the best Vader rounds we've seen in the tournament so far. And one thing that's great though is like we see this a lot. We've commented on it before, but Dover-Klungo, I mean, I say right as they split up, but they tend to stay a little bit more in range, covering each other.
Oh,
Ooh,
I think that just wasn't quite what they were ready for. Ajax got caught in movement with by Dover, and I think Outwash might have had thoughts of going for a follow up. Maybe you decided against it, and he's just caught between a rock and a hard place.
yeah, Ajax caught in the falling animation in a very weird way there. I'm not sure what was happening. If he just thought he could reset down to the ground, but Maybe ran out of stamina. Again, it's hard to tell what happened there. I think actually he was jumping up from the ground, but the Ayla caught up in time. And he's on to Maul now. But what I was saying is, like, I feel like Ajax and Outwash, or rather
Ooh.
Dover-Klungo, Dover gets another great hit, but Klungo's
Outwash
there
was trying to
covering.
hover in the air like he was sort of trying to bait into a lunge, but Dover waited about second and a half. Outwash started following, and he immediately dashed into it.
Yeah, Outwash not happy with his play right there, giving it an F minus in the game chat.
We were inventing new grades to uh, calculate how poor that decision was by Outwash's own admission.
But Ajax gets a nice clean attack onto Klungo there, intercepting him and then taking him out with the follow up from the Maul dash. Typically a very safe finish. Dover not able to cover him quite well enough. It's
And
very
now we
hard to
find
break
out
cover.
Ajax made the switch on the Maul. How much does he like his Maul versus Ayla?
I know. Ooh, a perfect dash from Klungo or from Dover there, saving his life. Actually,
Ah, just looks like he got caught by like the very tail end of that riposte.
yeah. It looks to me like Dover really likes to just, if he sees his opponents kind of in a mid-air descending situation, he likes to dash with them. And it's worked on Outwash as we just saw. It worked on Ajax right there, and it worked in a previous round. It's been quite effective so far.
Certainly been making a workhorse out of that strategy.
9-6 right
And
now.
the reverse nice score. Outwash gave him that little jolt of adrenaline in there, but looks like it might not have kickstarted all that much.
And this is something we rarely see is a villain team without Vader, but it's something I've advocated for a lot. I think that teams should be more willing to do this if they don't have the Vader working out quite well for them.
Like Outwash is doing the technique where he's trying to funnel some of that aggression, give his teammate on Maul a chance to just plow through people. Like, all right, they're down, they're exposed, go make the magic happen. Outwash decide, you know what? I don't need the help. I'm just gonna help get these two like just knocked down on my own. And his teammate like, no, let me help you, let me help you.
We see the
Both
team
the
combo
heroes
working out.
corralled against that moisture evaporator.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because while this team is theoretically worse against the Ayla, it is possibly the worst team, unless there was a Grievous on the field, for the Luke to deal with. So Anakin Maul is like a Luke's nightmare in 2v2.
One's super scary, the other's super safe, and Outwash gets a nice hit on his own
It's a
teammate that
bait.
is fortunately not followed up upon. He was not quite as committed to killing his teammate as Dover was.
It's alright. 300 damage is not at the end of the world there. Mutual knockdown.
Klungo,
Dover
yeah,
gets
Klungo and
just
Ajax knock each other down, but there's enough time for Dover to come in and save his teammate. Unfortunately, there was not enough time to save himself.
and it looked like the Luke did take a backslash from the Maul there. And a good dash attack is going to knock down the Luke and bring this to 9-8, evening it back up.
A lot of separation. Well, now it's just the heroes reunited, waiting for the villains to reunite. And Dover's just very comfortable going for those dash trades. Very aggressive with that dash today.
Slight dash attack clip there from Outwash onto one of the heroes. Ajax hunting for the Ayla. a little bit more
They
frantic in
got Wash
close quarter
again.
engagements.
Outwash has been getting cutting out by this riposte several times now.
Yeah,
He's got to get frustrated by that.
Dover is getting pick after pick after pick onto Outwash this game, and Ajax for that matter. Klungo's mostly kind of been support and follow up, with some intercepts of his own, of course, on some of those rounds.
Outwash
Ajax,
putting out a cheer of sympathy.
yeah, he's taking this out to the city.
I really like seeing fights happen over here just because you don't see it as much. And
It's
unfortunately, as I say that, Dover decides to end my viewing
and
pleasure.
the fight quickly ends, bringing us to 10-8 for the first phase. Remember that number because I don't have a piece of paper with me right now. And yeah, responding to the in-game, set phase 1 is the command, but just responding to the question in chat, yeah, this is a kind of rebroadcast live commentary of the match between Ajax-Outwash and Dover-Klungo. We just got done with phase 1. This will be posted to YouTube at a later date. That's actually the main reason I do this, is I don't want to go edit YouTube video stuff to put the overlay on, so I just stream it with the overlay. But we saw a really even game on heroes and villains, with Dover-Klungo on the heroes side and Ajax-Outwash on the villains for phase 1. And I know you and I have seen this match, we know the outcome, as will some of the viewers, but we'll see how the second phase goes, if it follows a similar trend of being close, or if that changes. So it looks like we're going back into the game.
We have Outwash on Obi-Wan. We had Ajax on the Ayla. We had Dover on the Mall, and I'm 90% certain Klungo is about to DC.
Yep, it looks
So
like it.
because I had called that, and I don't remember if he DC'd or had to rejoin.
We get a nice view of the Vader character model here in all of its glory, with the cape slightly clipped. But yeah, actually, when you were talking about the stream situation with Ajax, when he found out that there wasn't a streamer available, he kindly offered to stream his POV of the match on his own Twitch, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great. But I even said at the time, like, I highly recommend that if it affects your play at all or your connection, to not stream. And even before the match, he said that, he streams plenty of times and it doesn't really make a difference for him.
I didn't know that until the end, so I'm just sitting there like, I really hope that this isn't just his stream tanking his ability. And of course, I forgot about this. I took the time in game to plug in. This tournament is brought to you by the Sith Academy, because who wants to be a Jedi anyways?
Yeah, Rex is saying in chat that he tested the stream beforehand and it was fine, and that's good to hear. Like, I like, the last thing I want is for someone to try to stream the match and for it to affect the competitive. Oh, sorry, this is Aslan. I don't know why I thought you were Rex. Rex has a totally different name. That was silly of me, because you were the Cthulhu chanting one during the Jamen Will match. Fatagan.
A lot of separation from the heroes right now, but they're rejoining. Villains, finding a hit on the Ayla there.
You might want to delay your play for just a second again.
Ah, I see. Klungo making magic happen on Vader, and he makes it happen the second time on Outwash.
Yeah, Klungo's Vader already coming out very strong. In response to Aslan in chat, he stated Ajax and Buck should have swapped characters on their villains round because of Ajax's ping. I agree, and they agreed apparently because for most of the rounds, Ajax was actually on either Anakin or Maul, with a few Vaders scattered in there.
And when they did try swapping to have Ajax on the Vader, they ended up swapping back to what they were doing after a couple of rounds. So they were switching things around, definitely trying to find something that was going to work. They just couldn't quite find enough purchase.
But they kept it 10-8 pretty even regardless. And here, I know that honestly, this is the side where Ajax and Outwash typically perform better because they have kind of the faction where they have that character crisis is actually their villain side because of that ping situation with Ajax. So honestly, if I'm Ajax Outwash here, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling like, although we have to deal with the Klungo Vader and Dover's Maul or Annie, depending on what he feels like, this is typically the faction they've been performing better on in this tournament.
Wow, Ajax, I'm not even actually sure how he resisted. It looked like he was going down from the move by Maul, but the one left standing uh, was the Ayla.
Yeah, most likely what we saw there was a little bit of desync on Jamen's recording, where actually what happened was that the Maul did get nulled by the Ayla there, and it just took a moment to catch up.
Outwash got a good clip on the Vader at the very edge of that building, and the follow-up led to ending the round. Not a conventional place to kill someone, but they made it happen.
Yeah, as in saying Ajax is good on Ayla. Yeah, the ping differential is going to be a big part of like what character and matchups you're able to play effectively, or not even that, but the style in which you're able to approach the matchups, I think, is a good way of saying it. So Ajax typically will have to approach matchups in a little bit more of a predictive, aggressive style with the high ping, honestly, because he just can't react as quickly. Dover, I mean, this the name of this match is Dover finding picks on people, and again, there we go. It's just,
yep.
This match so far has been very much like the Dover show.
Dover's started strong. He's been continuing strong, very aggressive play, and he's just landing his hits, and he's not pulling punches.
I remember
And Klungo leaving, rejoining.
I think this was the time where it was a joke where I was like, "Oh, that was a very slow restart for Klungo," and it was only like 5 seconds in the Twitch chat during this live recording.
I'm like, I'm not rechecking.
Yep.
5 seconds, you wouldn't even have time to copy paste.
Sometimes I feel like Klungo rejoins before he leaves. That's how fast he is.
I feel like my server list has to glitch for a couple seconds before I'm allowed to even find the server I just got lagged out of.
Yeah. Seriously, I don't know how he does that. Especially because there's a password on this. Like he's ready. I guess
Well, if you've already put in the password,
right?
it saves the password.
Yeah. Klungo taking a float up there, gets aggressed on by the Ayla, which is Dover. I have a habit of doing that. I feel like if I forget who's on who, I just say the character name. Oh, sorry, no, it's Ajax on the Ayla, duh. Because they're heroes now.
We're unfortunately ending up in a lot of fights where the buildings are the central point because everyone is scattered around them. Poor cameraman. Wow,
Oh
what
my
a
god.
move. Outwash gets literally the most perfect situation he could have asked for. He finds the nose on the mall. Vader comes in to punish, and his own finish ends up countering the rush from Vader, throwing
Yeah.
him down.
I remember
That was
seeing
about
that
as
one live and being like, that's like the dream
that's as
backslash right
that's as
there.
clean as you can get it.
hmm Truthfully, in theory, that's actually like a, and I like hate pointing this out because it never feels this way, but that's technically a misexecution, like error from the Vader in that circumstance. Um,
Is and I actually didn't even see what happened. Outwash got a pick off of Dover.
yeah,
Klunga
off
though
camera,
finds the OB.
and Ajax not quite in position in time, and that's, I feel like that's one of the principal differences between these teams is that while Ajax and Outwash are able to win some of these 1v1 situations and keep the matches even in like these fast plays, more often than not, Dover and Klungo are in position to cover each other, whereas Ajax and Outwash are not. And Klungo plays this very patiently and effectively. With that was a great dodge too, just like to the side, confidence to stay on the building, and honestly, one could even say a little bit of a risk there.
I'm not so sure. If he fell off, he would have been relatively safe falling off the building
I mean,
if he
staying
messed
on
that
the
up.
building is a bit of a risk. Like if the Ayla decides to dash again, I mean, he can retreat backwards, but he just has to commit to
True.
the retreat then.
But the Ayla decided to curl more left instead of curl more right. Again, Klungo just having a very strong performance on Vader.
Yeah, we're looking. What Klungo wants to do is get a bait out from either of these villain characters of their dash attacks and just punish it. That's the name of the game here for Vader's. And I mean, alternatively, we see a lot of Vaders sometimes go for more just these snipes, these picks on movement or inattention. But Klungo is more of a counterpunching Vader. He usually will only go for snipes when there's a lot of tension in the match and he can kind of move past one character into attacking another as a way of like manipulating the attention.
And unfortunately, his own teammate knocks Klungo down, but also safeguards him to get back up.
Actually, minor
And there,
note
that's
as well on that safeguard, if I can nitpick a little bit, standing right on top of your teammate's body, unless you actually intend to null them and let them up, um, is not the best coverage because, especially with two CD characters on the field, you're just asking to get hit as well.
yep.
And Outwash does catch Dover on that little building there. And Klungo's now in a 1v2 situation against these two CD characters as the Vader. Definitely doable, but quite difficult.
Yeah, definitely don't want to take that building when both of them are coming at you at those angles like that. He gets out of that situation fast,
And
but
he's low on
the
stamina
pressure's
there.
back on.
Oh, and the Ayla riposte is going to be enough to take him out. Brings it. Oh, I messed up the score last time. It's 3-3 now. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. That was the right score. I lied. So with a 10-8 score previously in favor of Dover-Klungo, right? Going even favors Dover-Klungo.
And it is 10-8, Dover and Klungo, so they're technically still ahead right now,
Mm-hmm.
with the score being effectively 13-11, but they'll want to hold that. And Klungo's been doing well. He's been giving him reason to feel confident. Not to
Looks.
mention,
Sorry to cut you off. Looks like Ajax did get a little bit of damage there from Outwash's dash attack. So he's now a target
Split
because
fights. Oh,
into the corner, but Ajax just funnels down the hallway. Not much you can do there, as the Anakin trapped in a tiny hallway with an oncoming Ayla, unless you have time to dash attack out yourself. But he was busy finishing off Dover. Or
yeah. Looks like
Outwash.
if it hadn't been for the follow-up with the Ayla there, he probably could have gotten that kill, but instead
Oh, I remember seeing
it
that live.
became his tomb.
That was a super sick one. So Klungo tries to bait Ajax into a roll, and Ajax goes for the roll off the building, and Klungo tries to go for the punish, but Ajax has just enough time to combo like when he lands as Klungo is incoming and nulls the Vader descending into him. But Klungo
And
repays the
speaking of
favor here.
playmaking, Klungo manages to get the hit on the Ayla, the tipper, and now we end up in a slightly awkward fight between the Obi.
I would be amazed if Obi did not take damage there.
I actually don't remember how this fight went down.
I don't either.
It goes down in a true Obi fight fashion where
Yep.
um they take their time a little bit because when they cross blades, where they cross blades
It's very important.
really matters.
Yeah, if the fastest way to slow down Battlefront is to have both players pick Obi.
Now, see, if you want to speed things up, you just pick Ember like I do.
Oh, and some miss anti-fall a little bit in that situation. So if you dash attack and you know the enemy's coming in for a dash attack of their own, sometimes like you have to just resist the urge to try to dodge and move away and just sit there and take it, because it's gonna improve your chances of anti-falling that and staying in the fight. Even though you, of course, still risk the full dash attack hitting you with the end hitbox, but it's worth the risk in my opinion, because most of the time, you just want to make sure you're not falling regardless. Klungo getting a bit aggressive there, but wow, great play from Dover. Again, just nulling it
Yeah,
before combo.
just getting all this right spacing on that one.
And Ajax kind of caught between a rock and a hard place there. The score is 5-4 right now in favor of Ajax-Outwash. So, in the grand scheme of things, this means that they are 1 point behind. Outwash hitting a critical roadblock in his game plan. Out of whiskey. Preparation ahead of a match is a big part of Battlefront, and running out of your drink of choice, one could even consider that a misplay.
One v2, we see Ajax on the Ayla. Aylas have been scary all game long on both sides, but will he pull off the 1v2 here? Particularly the ripostes have been catching people out left and right.
Yeah, they definitely have, in addition to just intercepts with Ayla, which is not something we see as often, but she does have all those hitboxes around her that make her dash attack, although it's risky and has a lot of end lag, an intercepting tool in its own right. Ajax decides to reset onto Octagon, recover his stamina, reevaluate. Heads back down pretty quickly.
Very safe, very defensive play. He does not want to take more than a couple of them at the same time.
I mean, yeah, you just can't be aggressive here. And great movement and aerial coverage from Klungo.
I'll go to the side. You know what? I'm not waiting. I will
Ajax-Outwash.
make my opportunity.
I know it says 5-5, but remember this is the second phase, so Based on the score of the last phase, Ajax-Outwash are 2 points behind at the moment. Ajax actually switches to Luke now. And Outwash gets a good pick on Dover, leaving Klungo to 1v2 against the Obi Luke.
Oh, I accidentally paused my thing. I'm gonna teleport like a second in the future and see.
The Obi just comboed Klungo for the kill.
Alright, I think I should be back.
And looks like both teams are R-ing. Oh, Klungo calls for wait. He's gonna reset his game, it looks like, just for a moment.
I officially call pause.
Yep.
And he's disappeared to copy and paste and drag files.
Yes, very rapidly.
And after the deed is done, he back.
I don't know how I feel about the Luke play. Because on one hand, it's clear that the Ayla's not working. I mean, it is working though. They're staying even. So this dramatic of a change might not be what the heroes need.
I was distinctly not a fan of dropping the Ayla. I feel like that's one of the really high value characters that the heroes have access to. Like, there's just a lot of power in having an Ayla. There's a lot of threats it can answer.
Yep.
A lot of respect it deserves. Because like if you don't take that dash seriously enough, you mistime it. There are a lot of ways that misjudging or not even or just even the presence of an Ayla can do in strategy. And we have
Ajax
members
gets
of each
taken out
side
quickly,
taking each other out.
and Klungo is able to respond quick enough to that finish to get the kill there. But yeah, I agree. I think we normally see, no matter what, an Ayla on each side, and we actually can see here from this perspective, the heroes do switch back to Ayla immediately, likely Ajax on that. But even with the rarer team comps, whether you're using a Luke or even a Key at times, you almost always have an Ayla on the field because, as you noted, it is simply too high value to drop in most of these competitive situations.
Whether it's one shot, CD, riposte, fairly favorable aerial,
Yeah.
uh,
Even her
the
backslash
Jedi
finish
backslash. Yeah, like
is,
she's just the whole kit.
Ayla's backslash is on a technical level weaker in some ways than the standard Jedi backslash, but it has a front component too that can be used as a front null. So with its measly 2 push or 4 push rather.
And the power of the dash attack is just infamous. That alone evokes fear. You find yourself facing that on the wrong end without a solution, a way out, and that it just takes someone off the field.
Yeah, I mean, after having seen players utilize it and knowing that most villains favor something,
Excellent
yeah, it was
movement.
incredible.
Outwash catches him and stuns him slightly with an aerial attack, and he falls immediately with a dash attack.
Yeah, incredible ramp play from actually that was Ajax, by the way, taking out Klungo on the Ayla.
Again, the Aylas have just been on fire this whole match.
But yeah, I found myself. Oh
Wow,
wow.
that was
Oh, and the
what
awareness
an
to take him out.
engagement.
The trades there leading to Dover-Klungo bring it. It's 7-7, and the interesting thing here is if Dover-Klungo get one more point, it's at least a tie. Basically, if Dover-Klungo get 9 at any point during this phase, they win the match. So Ajax and Outwash, their goal here is to get to 10 before the opponents get to 9. So it's a 3-2 game, essentially, in terms of the scores needed.
And if they want to win, they can't let them get a single point more, because if Dover and Klungo get even one more point, the best they can hope for is a tie.
Which can lead to a
If
win,
they
so
lose,
yeah. There's no
well, I
long-standing
said if
ties
they
that would be able
want
to
to have
tiebreak.
any hope of a win.
Well, the tie leads to a tiebreaker in the tournament format. Otherwise, we do
Well,
just let the
yes.
ties stand, but that is a good point. It is, fighting down to the very last point here. Ajax and Outwash have been, in a few close matches already, and they've put up well with the pressure in those very tense situations. Bit of a lag spike there, it looks like, from the recording. The players seem okay.
Ajax getting a nice lift. He's able to try and get some of the dash attack on the Vader in the air, but it doesn't quite lead to a knockdown.
Yeah, great ramp play, but Sparks almost looking robbed in those situations, and this is bad. Dover finds Outwash in the back. Ajax left
1v2
1v2 here.
situation.
And against a Vader with the coverage capabilities of Klungo? I almost said Clover.
Yep, it's Klungo. Nope, we're not dealing with Clover and Dungo. We do, in fact.
That's the legendary team of the
Oh,
future. And just a
Dover
well-spaced
finds a
hashtag.
perfectly placed.
And as Outwash says in chat, it is the final countdown. This is the last life of Ajax and Outwash in the tournament. If they lose a single round from here on out, they're out. And the context behind this match, should have said it at the beginning, this is losers finals. So whoever wins this goes on to face against the team coming in from winners finals, which is William and Jamen. And they'll face off in grand finals for the first place seat replacement of the tournament. So
The power, the prestige, who gets the fight for it can be decided here. And we've already got an early pick on the Outwash by Dover.
Dover has been finding those time and time again, and Outwash is renowned to be one of the best Annie-Obi players in the community. So Dover very much able to take those wins from him, catch him by surprise. Whether it's Dover playing really well, Outwash playing not so well, or a combination of the two.
Unfortunately, Ajax gets caught out in the movement.
Another clip. And as a spectator, I got a award in a way if I have the authority to do this. Maybe we should ask enemy teams to award MVP, but I mean it's hard to award MVP in a two-player team. I don't think it's very valid, but I say that wanting to award an MVP to Dover, but he's just had a huge presence in this match.
He absolutely had. He's been on fire this whole game. Both sides.
And it's not to sell Klungo short, obviously. He's literally half the team.
Not to mention some of the clutch moments where Klungo's taking out both of them. Almost solo.
Yep. And now we have it's funny how we see this. Teams they let off the safe play a little bit at the end, and when this happens, the chaotic fast fight leads to Ajax Outwash being a little bit more natural looking in a lot of their engagements. And they take a point.
Sometimes you gotta wonder, like maybe if they tried to force play like this, would they be able to get the enemy team to go along with it? Would they have performed better if they were mashing away practically as they are
I
now?
feel like they would, and it's hard to get that to happen. But look at that; those are interactions that could have happened in the other situations, and it's always hard to judge in these after the match is concluded scenarios. But man, it looks like if Outwash and Ajax play a little bit closer together and a little bit more aggressively, that they're able to make things happen. That's really the style of play that favors them as a team.
It's always easy to look back and throw a lot of hindsight on there. Oh, they should have done this. This was
especially
a
from
bad
the
decision
spectator
here.
position.
Yeah, especially from the spectator's position. But then you look at these play, like all these guys are good players, every one of them. And even though Dover and Klungo are the ones moving on here, like they've given one heck of a showing, with the final score being 19-18
Yeah,
in favor of Dover and Klungo.
crazy close match. And Ajax says at the end should have been playing Luke, and you get a little traffic cone visible at the end there. I'm actually going to pull up an interview. I don't know how the audio is going to be for the stream, but we'll see. I also need to see if I can actually close this program or if my computer is going to die. But oh, I do have the ability to pull open the stream. So just my last thoughts before we go ahead and change it over to past Xadrian and Jamen in the interview. A great showing from both teams, and Ajax and Outwash had a great run this tournament, and they actually placed third from that match and their previous ones. So congratulations to them in this tournament. Looking forward to the next one with them.
Absolutely.
Any last thoughts here from present Xadrian before we jump into past Xadrian?
I mean, it was a fantastic match. I loved watching it. Like, I loved officiating it. I'm expecting big things out of Dover and Klungo to give us a really good one against William and Jungle, but I think I'd better just let past me take over.
All right. And
review recording has started.
Hang on, I'm currently grabbing that window right now in Alright, I don't really need that visible for you all because it's just Jamen on the camera, and I'm going to go ahead and shut up now.
Everything works.
So for those
I know
watching the rerun, this is I don't know.
Hmm?
I was gonna do an intro for we're recording from the past. I don't know.
Excellent idea.
Yeah. Wolf can mute this initial part and then just
Yeah, it can't be muted if need be.
Yeah.
Hello.
Or we can just record an entirely separate intro. Hello,
that's what we'll do.
Dover.
Hey Dover.
Hi, guys.
What a fantastic showing.
Oh, thank you.
That was one of the closest games we've had, particularly one that went almost all the way.
Oh, yeah, so much back and forth. Who knows where it would have gone.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. How did you feel going into this one?
I'll be honest, I felt a little more comfortable because I know these two players a bit better. They're both fellow Arrows. I've even recruited one of them into Arrows, but yeah, I mean, I felt pretty okay. I knew they were very experienced, though.
So, going into the matchup, was there anything you felt was going to be the most deciding, or did you think it was just gonna turn into who executed better?
Yeah, I think it was largely who executed better. There was not really any one tactic that would have made a big difference, I don't think.
Short of perhaps Ajax's lag.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's very
It didn't seem
dangerous
that
even
bad
if
though
he's
this time.
lagging. Yeah, he didn't disconnect or anything.
I don't know how wise it was to be doing a stream at the same time when lag is an issue for you, but he did it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see a lot of signs that he was suffering from lag, so if he was, he was suffering silently. I didn't have his stream pulled up, so I don't know.
I saw a few points where
Yeah.
There are some weird interactions going on.
Yeah, definitely some near misses, but at this point, it's just the way
Yeah, it's
this game
baked in.
goes. It's especially with like OB dash attacks. It's just I'm so used to it. It's constantly like it looks like it should hit, but it doesn't hit. That's just the way it is. And Outwash was super accurate with it. He got
I think I remember there
counter
was
punches
one
against me
round
that
there.
I couldn't even see how he would do that. I
I
think there was once.
remember
Oh, go
one
ahead.
round where he was doing that, and he caught them all out like 3 times in midair with his dash, like just in the one
Oh,
round.
yeah, the one I really remember is I was mashing on a bubble building, and somehow he got all the way from like a whole other building to counterpunch me. I don't even know how he did that. I'm into seeing the stream. He got some really good counterpunches that I didn't think he would even be able to get from the range he was. That was like the hardest thing about the match, I think, was just how much range he has in his counter punches.
Yeah, there's a lot of ramps going on all sides that made it so you couldn't really be safe anywhere you were.
Yeah, yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't as much aerials. I guess there was some aerials, I suppose. I think I
Ajax got a
killed
really
one or
good one
two.
at some point in the match. I don't remember when.
Yeah, I guess for me doing aerials, I think they are really strong against players doing aerials. I know they um didn't let Azure Blue get away with his aerials that he did in my tournament. So I kind of had to shy away from using those, even though they seemed to be able to do it just fine. They were pretty comfortable using it. But yeah, definitely this. I was very focused on sort of like the tactical aspect of this more than the mechanical aspect because I can't rely on like the mechanics of taking them down.
Well, y'all
A lot of
clearly managed to
positional.
make it work for this match, but
Just
now we
barely.
come to a much more difficult question.
Uh,
How do you feel going against our contenders over there who've been doing very well in the winners bracket?
oh, you or not you?
Hi, me and Will.
Yeah, Jamin and Gene. Yeah, or William. Yeah. Um, we'll see. I know he's very good. Yeah. Um, I would probably have to practice if I actually intended to take him on. We'll see.
Well, we'll find out what fruits we end up with the practice and the match at a later time. So you take that time, prepare, get your game plan going, and if you can show performance like you did here, you can give us a good show then.
Yeah.
Alright, so are we pulling in Outwash and Ajax?
Yep, I'm gonna
Alright,
see. So thank you for the amazing match. Well played, and we wish you luck in your future match.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for hosting the tournament. It's been good.
Take care.
Goodbye.
see ya. Shame we couldn't keep Ajax in.
Yeah, he tends to jump out pretty quick from what I've seen.
I don't blame the fact that he left though. That if I were to watch his stream, I'm not going to, but if I were to watch his VOD, uh, I'd imagine there's gonna be a lot of tilting moments in there for him.
Well, we'll have to see. I'm about to drag him in. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
So that match came down fairly close. One of the more closely scoring matches we've had in the tournament, let alone the fact I think the next closest we had was only 16-17 by the time the match was decided. And this one was getting real close to being like 18-18. So we were getting very close the whole way through.
Sadly, no tiebreaker.
Sadly, we did not get to see the tiebreaker. I was beginning to wonder, like, hey, Jamin, like this might be one of the match that finally gets your tiebreaker. But how did you feel going into this match?
Felt really confident. With you know, Henry's little bit of a handicap on this server. I felt really confident, and they played very well.
That they did.
I do want to.
Sorry,
No, go on ahead.
I was just gonna say I was pretty sure we were gonna pull a win, but hats off to what is it, Dover?
Dover and Klungo?
Yeah, but what was the team you called them?
Clover and Dungo.
Yeah, Dungo and Clover.
Oh, Tango and Clover, yes. Started by Wolf's mispronunciation, and every once in a while I find myself slipping up on that.
Yeah.
Now, I know Ajax has had the lag issues on the server, and I had to wonder when he was doing the streaming, was that affecting him more adversely than normal, or was he...
He said no. He said it was about the same. We were playing earlier, and he said it was about the same whether he was streaming it or not. So, thanks.
Okay, that's good to hear then, because I would have been a little sad if his willingness to stream ended up being a hindrance
No, I don't
to his
think so.
performance.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Well, that's reassuring to hear then. So did you
So,
feel like...
okay, I had a question. How many bottles of whiskey did you drink before this match?
I only had one glass, so I'm all right. I
Okay.
should have had more.
I was curious when you said you were out of whiskey. Like, how much did you actually drink? Yeah. All right.
Not too terrible. I'm all right. I'm still kicking. Jamen.
Yeah. So, Xadrian, what was your question before I interrupted?
Well, all I was gonna say is that, like, did you feel like it was just a matter of execution, like just not quite where it needed to be in this match, or do you think it was maybe character swaps, any coulda, shoulda, wouldas throughout the match?
I just think it was just a lot of little mistakes made by both Henry and myself. I don't think there was really any. We just didn't play as good as we know that we can, and Dover and Klungo played very well. And so, you know, I'm sure in other times we played together, we would see different results, but today they won, and hats off to them.
All right. Well, this unfortunately does, if I'm not mistaken, represent the end for you guys' climb through the match. What do you think about what we're going to see between the combination of the winners on the winners bracket and now Dover and Klungo moving on? What do you expect to see here?
I would love to see Dover and Klungo win, and I would also like to point out that I'm the one who set those two up as teammates for this tournament. So
Was that the case?
that is the case. So I'm taking partial credit for my ability to pick.
You have created the circumstances for your own demise.
But so I would love to see Dover and Klungo upset the I think the popular pick of Will and Jam taking the W, but
You know, everyone loves an underdog.
that's right. But my honest opinion is I think William and Jamen will prove to be too much for Clover.
Well,
So,
we're definitely, as soon as we get that match scheduled, we're going to have ourselves quite the match, and I truly hope it is the best one yet. Maybe John will even finally get to that tiebreaker, although
Yes,
I'm not sure if
I
he'll be
wanna
so
see
happy being the one having to fight through it.
it won't happen.
Yes.
So,
Well, again,
I have one last question. So, Outwash, you have won money, given that you are third place. What will you spend it on?
What is it, like about 30?
I think it's $34.
I believe it was like a 33 a piece, I think it was, something 33, 32, something like that. I have to double check where the post was.
Probably, I mean, I know I've been saying whiskey, but I think I'll probably get a couple Steam games or something with it.
Alright.
Nothing too terribly exciting.
But when it's Steam games or whiskey, it could always end up exciting.
True.
You might get a game where it's just about drinking whiskey. He gets both of it.
Well, any last questions you got, Jamin?
No.
All right, then Outwash again. I want to thank you for an amazing match. It was quite exciting to watch. And while this is the end of the road here, I want to thank you for participating in this tournament and helping make it what it is.
Definitely, I want to thank you guys and everyone who's been helping to set it up and donated into the prize pool and all that stuff. So a big thank you to everyone also.
Well, without further ado, excellent match, and we will catch y'all in the next one.
Yep.
Yes, sirs.
Alright, back in the present, this is Wolf again. I'm just pausing or stopping that, and I'm going to wrap it up here. Last thing I want to say before next round, I'm going to go ahead and pull us back up on the screen. We do have the grand finals scheduled for this weekend, and that is going to be this Saturday. And I believe the time is a 5:45 p.m. start time. So, looking forward to seeing Jamen and William there against Dover-Klungo, the team we just watched. So that should be a fun match, and hopefully get to see you all there. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.